Hello, my very dear Cancer Collective. This is your reading for the week of May 4th, or when you hear it and it resonates. And of course, it will not be for every Cancer. Cancers, I'm starting off by saying, this is my rising sign. So whatever I say to you, I say it with love. Cancers. Sometimes, what I saw as I was asking for energy from the collective, it was me standing in a corner with a Kleenex going, and then going, oh, I actually don't feel like crying or being sad. And I take this not about sadness, because I'm not sad. I take this about the expressiveness of emotion that comes along with being Cancerian. And the quality of the Cancer vibe is a very, very big heart and very often extremely empathic, which means that for many of you, you have not had the support to be able to handle your emotions in a way that was not dramatic. Because think of it like this, you were this little tiny vessel with all of this intense energy being thrown at you. And your little psyche, your young tiny psyche, did not have the innate ability to manage it, to manage the emotions. And you didn't probably have people around you who ever had such intense emotions, so they never learned how to manage them either. What does it mean to manage an emotion? What it means is not shutting it down. Definitely, we don't want you to shut it down. To close that off and stuff all of that into your body would be not good for you. What it's about is managing emotion is about being able to identify when you are in reaction to something so that your emotions are being projected and spilled out onto somebody else. It's more than that, though. It's being able to understand the motivation for that. So it happens in process, right? It's a cycle of understanding. In Cancer, you're very good at cycles. So sometimes in the past, you've had to go very deeply into these emotions in a way that felt very dramatic and overwhelming before you were able to stabilize and start asking the questions, because the key is always asking questions. Asking questions about why you're responding the way you're responding. This is where the learning comes in, because what the reaction tells us, gives us an idea of, is where we still have some jagged energy that is being reacted to. So it doesn't mean other people aren't being affected. It means they may not be noticing it to the same degree that you are. Because you have this deep capacity to feel, it's been harder for you to gain sometimes the control that you need to be able to manage emotions. But now many of you have gone through enough experiences. The time has come. Forgive, be kind, look out for cognitive distortions. These are all the things that help you deal with these intense emotions that come up. So forgiveness, again, it's really interesting here because now they're showing me back the image that I saw, which was the crying with the Kleenex and going, oh, I don't have to be sad. It's because you're learning to let go of those emotions that were so intense that it's like they imprinted on you. Now you're being able to let go, and you're being able to see life now as in a big picture, because you're seeing more the big picture and not being pulled into all of the detail of all the emotional ins and outs and who said what and where and what was the motivation and all of that stuff. Now you're being able to say, this is part of life. I can feel the sadness, but the sadness does not become me. I can say, oh, look, there is sadness, as opposed to, oh, I am sad. It's allowing you to let go of things from the past, Cancers, in a way that sets you free. You're being told, if you go into all of that in your head or in your heart, do your best to move towards kindness. And how do you do that? By getting curious rather than aiming to blame. And curious is different than, I wonder why, who said that, and what. It's curious from a position of wise curiosity, kind curiosity. It's the desiring to know so that you can go, so that you can grow and move beyond it. And that's the difference from perhaps the old way of dealing with emotion than the new way, because now you have the skills to be able to understand it's a big response and what's it giving me? Where's my freedom in this response? Where's my ability to learn from this place? When you find yourself going into cognitive distortions, I always, they always, no. The cognitive distortions are usually statements that are made in absolutes, and really, very often, they're statements that are, because they're absolutes, they don't take into account nuance, variables. It's very, very difficult when you're working in absolutes to step back and really be able to observe it from a neutral position. Cognitive distortions are not said from a neutral position. Okay, so you're being told here, Cancers, many of you have already evolved so much out of any of that dramatic feeling that we justifiably had because we didn't have any other way to deal with it. And so this now is stating you've understood the value and the power of your emotions. And now you can harness them. Now you can harness them in a way, Cancers, where you don't have to be afraid of emotional intimacy. You don't have to be afraid about how you're going to be able to set boundaries. You don't have to create barriers in order to protect yourself, because now that you can negotiate your own emotions, you're now able to negotiate other people's emotions as theirs and not as something that you have taken on. And that's really powerful. This is what they're saying now, is that one of the great things about this is you are no longer taking them on in order to understand them. You can understand from afar, and that's huge. That's you having a boundary that allows you to receive and perceive, but not have to take it in and process it through your own body and your own nervous system and your own psyche. This is huge, Cancer. Huge. I'm going to leave you with that because this is brilliant and I have no idea what I'm going to call this because it's really big. Okay, Cancers, you take care. Much love.